Today is 10th of February 2017, and this is the primer video for our channel, Tricks of the Trade. And I like to start by saying that, if you want to do something good, then chances are you have to do it yourself. The reason for the channel is because as I was doing a lot of research and getting to understand stuff about life and what's really going on and who are the controllers of everything else, and being that I've heard the term called the New World Order for quite some time and I didn't know what it quite meant, and my investigation led me down this path to discovering who were the people who actually run it. And I didn't know it would be to such a scale that is so mind-boggling that it's hard to comprehend. So I decided, to make a channel which would help people, or at least maybe give people enough information. Actually, since Hollywood is I would say the propaganda tool, or the machine of social engineering to control the minds of people to willingly accept and lay down for the New World Order. So what happened was, while being on YouTube and studying a lot of stuff, I would get to find out there are people who actually pass out disinformation just to confuse people on certain topics. So one of the topics that my channels or our channels will be covering, it's the topic of the people being transgender in Hollywood, because there are people who appear to you on TV every day who claim to be a sex that they're not. So while studying this, I happen to find out there are a lot of people on YouTube who wouldn't tell the truth. It's more like they're working for Hollywood themselves by trying to confuse people so you wouldn't get to the facts of the matter. So for example, if you found out that someone was a tranny, they would put someone else in front of you and tell you that the person is also a transgender when the person is not actually one. So that would confuse you more. So I decided to put a document out there. If you go to a channel, you can download it for free. It's a document that tells you the simple visual differences between a male and a female. And from then on, then you can subscribe to the channel and just, get to watch a lot of the videos that we make. So the topic of being understanding the whole idea behind transgender, it has to go back to a certain history. I'm going to highlight this right here right now. If you can see my mouse moving across the screen, you can read that up on Wikipedia. It's called castrato, and bearing in line with the word castrato, which is actually an Italian word, it would show you the history of the people who's behind the organized transgendering of children at a young age without their consent, because I just call it mutilation at this point. So when you go to the wiki page, it will give you certain information that's pertinent to this, and I'll just read some of them just to give you just a brief background of what's really going on. So stereotypically, transgenders were used as gods to kings and queens way back in history. They were also used as very high level political appointees and servants to a dynasty which could not threaten the ruler. So being the case that the best scenario I could explain this would be, let's say for example that a child is born, right? And this child happens to be a homosexual. Okay, now if the family does not accept homosexuality, the child grows up in a very harsh environment. So the child wouldn't function well in the family because the family doesn't accept him or her. All right. So let's say, for example, the child has a group of friends or a fraternity or an association that he or she goes to, and they are willing to, treat her or him and accept her homosexuality because they themselves provide that kind of environment. Now, the child will deliberately leave his or her family for the family of the people who accept him or her and his homosexuality. And in that case, the child will now be part of the family and accept the ideals of the family that he's associating with or who have accepted him. So that is how the whole transgender thing actually works. So, being that these people are tools, they're products of the New World Order and the people who run it, they want to use them to social, engineer the population to precondition them or condition them to accept what has become the New World Order. So, being that we learn everything from TV as kids, as grown-ups, as kids, we get to know how people talk, people act, food, um, behave, and social behavior from TV. It's more like we are evangelized through TV, and this is the case with the whole transgender thing. So you have to. It's more like you're products of a system and a system that is used to maybe massage the mental scape or mental scope of each individual to accept what is called the New World Order, which is run by the Vatican. People will say the New World Order is run by Jews, but this is not a fact. Jews are used as smokescreens for the Vatican. So they run everything. They run both the technological aspect of this world, the economical aspect, the religious aspect, but the Vatican doesn't want you to know that. They want you to think of them strictly as a religious organization saving a facade of God, which is not actually the God of the Bible, but it's a different kind of God. So if you really want to know, I'm going to highlight another screen now, like who runs Hollywood. You can go to this website right here. It's highlighted on my screen. You can pause this video at any time and look up those two links that I sent you, and you would get to understand who really runs Hollywood. So the reason I have mentioned maybe before, part of the reason for the whole transgender thing is it's people, it's products that you can trust, because when kings and queens were ruling way back in the day, when monarchs were ruling, they always had a problem of trusts. You wouldn't know if your brother would try to kill you or your sister or somebody. So you needed some sort of trust to make sure that the rulership stays intact. So this gave the idea for you to castrate somebody, because when you castrate somebody, the person doesn't fit into the normal mold of society because he can't function as a normal human being. So he has to be able to function in an ideal, or let's say um, simulated reality that you present for them. So that's the number one reason for creating people to be transgendered, because they're going to fit into the mold that you want them to, and not necessarily the real world or real life situation. Then another reason for it was because of art. Now, I'm going to read something the same from that wiki page right here. It says, castration before puberty or in its early stages prevents a boy's larynx from being transformed by the normal physiological events of puberty. As a result, the vocal range of prepubescence shared by both sexes is largely retained, and the voice develops into adulthood in a unique way. So this is one of the primary reasons for castrating males, is because they have a greater lung capacity to make music. And in most cases, this was always a practice of the Roman Catholic Church, which today still practices that, but it's not so much in the public view. The only way you can come close to it is if you're in Hollywood. The people on TV, like 95% of the people you see on TV are transgendered. And I'll read another point as to how this usually happens. Now, I'm going to read this part from the castrator page. It says, so when you castrate a boy, according to the wiki page, it says, as the castrator's body grew, his lack of testosterone meant that his epiphysis, bone joints, did not harden in the normal manner. Thus, the limbs of the castrati often grow unusually long, as did the bones of their ribs. This, combined with intensive training, gave them unrivaled lung power and breath capacity. Operating through small child-sized vocal cords, their voices were also extraordinarily flexible and quite different from the equivalent adult female voice. Their vocal range was higher than that of the uncastrated adult male. Listening to the only surviving recordings of a castrato, well, let me not go any further. I just want to stop right there, where it says that their voices were also extraordinarily flexible and quite different from the equivalent adult female voice. So this was part of the reason, besides the fact that when you castrate somebody, you're taking him out from his ability or her ability to function as a normal person, because he himself, I mean, the regular people wouldn't accept him as maybe female, and he can abide in the sex that he's supposed to be because he's castrated. So you're creating an alternate reality for him to live. And so the ideals of whatever reality you create for him or her becomes his or her life. Then besides that, the entertainment aspect also of music, which was primarily led by the Roman Catholic Church. You can read all that on the website I showed you here on Castrato, on the Wikipedia page. So this was the general idea behind castrating people. They serve as reliable products, as your tools, and they will serve your purpose. So now, another question that now arises is, so why does the people who organized this do so? Now, the reason being, as I've said earlier, they need people they can depend on at any time. Because in creating the New World Order, a lot of deals are broken and made. Those deals will be broken and some will be kept. So this is part of the reason why. And so you need people you can rely on that will get the job done. And this is part for the new, this is part of the reason for the castration of either male or female, and to put them in whatever sex that you want to define. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is that the people who do this stuff are really, really religious people, because this is their religion. Just like somebody being part of some sort of religion, or like Christianity, a Muslim, or a Jew, this is their own religion. So they don't really bear any allegiance to the way or the normal standards or norms of society. And because part of the reason, as you will read on the Castrato page in Wikipedia, it also says that that in the night, I'll just read it here so you can say. It says in the 1720s and 1730s, at the height of the craze for these voices, it has estimated that upwards of 4,000 boys were castrated annually in the service of art. Now, this is something that was happening in the 1720s to the 1730s. 4,000 boys were castrated annually in the service of art. Now, this is the official number. So let's say, for example, in today's world, this could be a lot more, because you have the ability now to have what they call surrogate moms who can carry children for you pay them and they carry children for whatever purpose you need. And as you can see, the reason why a lot of these people were sucked into the art of castrating the children was because they thought they could be rich. Because as the Wikipedia page says, many came from poor homes and were castrated by their parents in the hope that their child might be successful and lift them from poverty. This was the case with Senesino. So this is part of the reason this is practiced in Hollywood, because a lot of people are seeking fame and fortune, and they believe that if they castrate their children and give them over to these entities, the owners of Hollywood, which is actually the Vatican, that the children will become rich and successful, and they themselves will become successful as well. So this is part of the reason, because and this is and people, somebody may ask the reason, somebody may ask the question, why is this not public knowledge? Why are people not speaking about this? Well, the reason why people aren't speaking about it is because the whole system is built on lies, and there's a lot of money involved in it. And if you have to be successful, you have to work for the lie. So that is the reason why nobody says this, because the people who are around a lot of these transgenders, people who are straight, actually know that these people look weird and funny and they can't be the sex that they claim to be, but they won't say anything because, like I said, part of the reason is they believe in themselves that they're going to be rich, and the system is built on lies. And another reason being that they are paid for their silence, so it's not public knowledge. So you could be sitting and watching TV or whatever. It doesn't matter what program you're watching. It doesn't matter if it's sports or whatever. A couple people in there, or the main people who run the show, could be transgendered. And so you can find that you're looking at a female, you think it's female, and you fall in love with it and make it your hero. You have maybe you talk about the person so much, you live up to meeting the person and everything. You have like maybe his photos on your walls, on your phone, and you talk about the person only, but you're being deceived without knowing that the person that you think that you're admiring is not the sex that they claim to be. And it's sick, it's sickening, but this is the reality that we live in. This is how sick the world is today. So, and I always tell people, it might be hard for you to believe, but stay. If you subscribe to this channel and stay, because I have some documents that I made that you can download. I'll always include a link in any of the videos, so you can download it and download and read rather, and it will give you clarity. It will make you understand what's really going on, and awareness, so that you're not being deceived anymore. And like I said, one of the main reasons that you will be deceived will be if you don't believe in God. Because, as I said earlier, these people are very, very religious and they believe in God, but it's not the God that you think it is. It's not the God of the King James Bible. It's a different kind of God that they believe in. And I want you to stay tuned to this channel, and we'll walk you through step by step so you know what to look for, and so you won't be deceived by looking at a male or female on TV without knowing actually that is not what he or she claims to be. So thank you and welcome. Stay tuned.